buddy. Where is my cleaning thing? All right.
Open is next.
Open is next. Let me take a look at the open real fast. Showtime! Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Gets a
Position B for that.
gets in the face of an election during a House committee meeting. Gets in the face of a. What do we mean by that? In the open, do you guys know what gets in the face of an election? An election denier, okay. Oh, it just says election. Okay, I got it. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Here we go. What's up, Reed? We're about to tell you. We're about to shoot the cold open right now.
Be over here.
That's going to give you a preview of what's to come, and then we will chat. We're running a little bit late today, but we're good. We're good. Everything's good. All right, here we go. Ready? Starting here?
Yeah, it's starting to be great.
Oh, SML, we missed you too. Tuesday and Wednesday? It's not the same. It's not the same without the stream. No, spammer. He's not spamming. SML is behaving. He's promised he's going to be on his best behavior today. Right? Please.
4, 3.
Hey guys, it's Scotty Schwartz, and tonight, one of the biggest storms in years is promising 2,000 miles of ice and snow. And to make matters worse, there's going to be dangerous cold temperatures and the prospect of massive power outages. Then Vice President J.D. Vance visiting Minneapolis today, and he found himself defending ICE's decision to detain a 5-year-old boy.
What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death?
And it appears as though maybe the worst of the Greenland crisis is over. President Trump seems to have turned his attention now to this Board of Peace. But what exactly is the Board of Peace, and why are a number of allies hesitant to get on board? Then, one of the officers who defended the Capitol on January 6th gets in the face of an election denier during a House committee hearing. We're going to tell you what that's about. And the U.S. and China have signed off on a deal to finally finalize all that drama with TikTok. We've also got the movie Sinners finding redemption with a record 16 Oscar nominations. Things got frozen there for a second. Was that everything? Like, the prompter froze and then it just came back and it was on the Sinners thing. Did we get through everything? Should we re-rack? Bum, ba-dum, bum. Hey guys, it's Scotty Schwartz, and tonight, one of the biggest storms in years is promising 2,000 miles of ice and snow. And to make matters worse, there's going to be dangerous. The record 16 Oscar nominations. Let's re-rack it, yeah? All right. So now we're waiting for a little bit. What are you guys watching today? What's going on? And NBC's Maggie Vespa is in Minneapolis for us tonight. Maggie, what's the latest on the 5-year-old that was detained by ICE?
Yeah, the latest, Scotty, is that officials say he's in a detention center in Texas. 5-year-old in the process to try to make their point, Scotty.
Maggie Vespa, thank you so much. Interesting. All right. Now let's get out to NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber, who is in a very frosty Greenland tonight. Ellison, good to see you. What more do we know about the latest framework here? Oh my gosh, sorry.
We have heard from a lot of Greenlanders, said in different ways, but that was his analogy.
Sam and Liz filled it in for
a new expression, I guess,
Sam and Liz
here in
cool.
the United States now.
NBC's Ellison Barber, thank you so much.
On Monday? I thought it was.
Oh, but I know Liz did yesterday, and she's awesome. I do remember Josh. Are you Josh? Username 00294. We're close to another government shutdown by the end of the month. Gosh, I hope not. Let's see. Are you? Shoot. I'm probably not going to go through the full screen because like that one doesn't move the needle legally. There's a couple of things in the no, if we just have it in the background or we just put it up, it's fine. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I like we're gonna play it, like read it out, but it's pretty long, and it does, you know, the HR stuff would be a little bit more on topic, but this other stuff is just part of the tea. Let's see, is he still doing Dateline? Who's doing Dateline? I'm not doing Dateline. But Keith Morrison is. According to Politico, Trump said there could be another shutdown. That's what we had heard. I mean, I hope not, but that's always a possibility. What do you guys think about the Greenland stuff? Seems like crisis averted, or maybe it wasn't what? I don't know. What happened? We'll tell you because we've got Ellison Barber in Greenland in a full-on parka, braving the elements to bring us the latest, and I think she's going to be talking to some Greenlanders, and we are going to hear what they have to think about all this. Max Columbus, aw, thanks. Missed you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it was Liz, and I know Sam was on, but it was Romo, right, Steve? Ty William, yes, I do. Lester. Oh, yeah, Lester is the man. Let's see. Hey, SML misses us. That's really nice, SML. Going to be really nice today, right? Breaking the Spell podcast. I still need to listen to the Breaking the Spell podcast. Hold on. I'm going to put it on my podcast list right now. Podcasts.
Okay.
How many podcasts are on your podcast list?
A lot.
What's a lot?
Hold on.
So they give me two more.
I have them on different places because I only have one Spotify account. Breaking the Spell.
Okay, how about do you watch podcasts that come with a video?
Hold up. Breaking the Spell podcast. Wait. Lisa, do we have a magician in the chat? Is there a mentalist in the chat? Breaking the Spell podcast. Dude, how have you buried the lead? Is this your podcast? Is that you? Please tell me it is. If so, I would like an invitation to the Magic Castle. And if you guys don't know what mentalists are, they are the coolest magicians. And I think that might be the podcast. I don't know, but I'm just, at this point.
Do they count as magicians?
Mentalists? I think so. I think even they're, define magic, Lisa.
Well, I would say magicians
What's
are
coming
doing.
up on
I
tonight's
would
show?
say.
Max, let me tell
I
you.
would say magicians are doing more like trick of the eye, whereas mentalists aren't doing that.
Mentalists
I actually think
are
it's
doing
harder.
Breaking the Spell podcast. Unfortunately, no, I'm a cult survivor. That must be a different podcast. Okay, I will find that podcast and also listen to it. That was an unexpected turn, and I'm so glad that you got out of there. I had a friend who was in a similar situation in New Mexico, and they are one of the most resilient humans on planet Earth. The podcast is about my experience. Okay, we'll check that out. Stephen, yeah. Max, I don't know if you've picked it up, but I'm slightly allergic to politics. Just slight case, you know. Let's see here. All right, so we are going to be starting with this crazy winter blast that's going to be affecting, I don't know, almost half of the country, millions, over 100 million people, almost 200 million people, 2,000 miles of ice and snow, like just straight up, you know, Game of Thrones stuff. Winter is here. So we've got our boy, as you and I, and you, and you, and you, and you all chat here in this warm studio, and Lisa's up there in her warm 30 Rock studio. This is Ryan Chandler out there in the cold, wearing them down, hopefully, and he's gonna be reporting on conditions. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're like, why does the news send people out in the cold? And it's because we want to make you guys feel warm at home. Like, there's a reason for it, and we want you to be cozy while you're getting the news. And the only way to do that is to have someone like Ryan out there with his teeth chattering. So that's why we have a heated vest. Are we gonna do Game of Thrones? Man, have you guys seen the new Game of Thrones? The one with the very, very tall knight, the hedge knight? Highly recommend. Let's see. Wow, Nana, SML. I wouldn't vote. I wouldn't ever go into public office, because then you would be there in the comments giving us a hard time. All right, so we're doing the winter snow. We are doing the latest on the Greenland situation. We are doing the latest in Minnesota with the vice president there defending the actions of ICE and this basically detainment of a 5-year-old boy. You might have seen those pictures. And then we are going to be moving on. We're going to end the show with Kalshi and the Oscars and all of the craziness that happens when you have the betting markets touching cultural events. And then, very jealous, trying not to be too jealous, but our homie, the one, the only Al Roker, he got to go to NASA and he got to hang out with the Artemis crew. So happy for him and not jealous at all. And then we're going to be talking about Blue Origin and their whole, new adventure in space and communications and all that good stuff. And let's see. Oh, who do we have in here? Hey guys, it's Scotty Schwartz, and tonight, one of the biggest storms in years is promising 2,000 miles of ice and snow. And to make matters worse, there's going to be dangerous cold temperatures and the prospect of massive power outages. Then Vice President J.D. Vance visiting Minneapolis today, and he found himself defending ICE's decision to detain a 5-year-old boy.
What are they supposed to do? Are they supposed to let a 5-year-old child freeze to death?
And it appears as though maybe the worst of the Greenland crisis is over. President Trump seems to have turned his attention now to this Board of Peace. But what exactly is the Board of Peace, and why are a number of allies hesitant to get on board? Then, one of the officers who defended the Capitol on January 6th gets in the face of an election denier during a House committee hearing. We're going to tell you what that's about. And the U.S. and China have signed off on a deal to finalize all that drama with TikTok. We've also got the movie Sinners, finding redemption with a record 16 Oscar nominations. Hey there, we are tracking this major winter storm that is tonight starting to take shape. This is it right here. This is the heavy snow, the dangerous ice, potentially life-threatening conditions all expected across an absolutely massive stretch of the United States throughout the weekend. We are talking 2,000 miles wide, hundreds of millions of people under alert stretching from the southwest all the way to the northeast tonight. So many bracing for dangerous and unforgettable storm conditions.
I just went and done my storm readiness grocery haul for the next 3 days this weekend.
They're already out of sourdough. Not a good sign. This is the water section, and it's all gone.
I've got plenty of stored water. I've got firewood, a generator ready to go, stored gasoline.
Y'all, literally all the lanterns that were battery operated were gone. I found this 2-pack.
Now listen, we're not used to the ice and snow down in the south.
And that is your PSA to always try to be prepared. Ryan Chandler is out there in Dallas. Ryan, do they even have like heavy duty snow plows in Dallas to deal with something like this? What are the preps looking like?
If we do have them, I've never seen them, Gotti. It is certainly true that the South is not as prepared as other parts of the country for a big storm like this. But Texas has learned some really hard lessons about taking this seriously in recent years. We've been talking with people rushing to the grocery store today and first responders prepping up. Everybody's taking this very seriously. And the two big concerns for life safety at this point all surround that ice. First of all, the roads are going to be a major problem. The top advice we hear from first responders, just stay off of them. We've seen some brine trucks try to prep them, but they're just not going to be safe all around Texas and lots of the South. The second is with power outages. That ice accumulates on these lines. It topples trees on top of them. We are expecting many people to possibly lose heat and power. So it's time to brace for impact. About 24 hours to go now if you still need to prepare, Gotti.
Yeah, that's enough time to go out and get some supplies. But, you know, so many people are remembering what happened the last time. Like, what are they saying about the power grid? We all remember all the issues that came with that huge storm that took out power to millions.
Texans are anxious about that, and they're right to be. That was a traumatic event for millions of people. It killed almost 250 people. But the message this time around is a whole lot different. One, this is a different storm. It won't be cold for nearly as long. And Texas has taken pains in the last 5 years to really improve the resiliency of the grid, investing billions of dollars to make the infrastructure more resilient to all types of weather, putting backup forms of power onto the grid. Governor Abbott was asked in Austin today if the grid is ready. He said, certainly it is.
The ERCOT grid has never been stronger, never been more prepared, and is fully capable of handling this winter storm. There is no expectation whatsoever that there's going to be any loss of power from the power grid.
Okay, but Gotti, those last words there are very important. From the power grid. Even if the statewide system is fine, we are still expecting local outages because of that ice taking down power lines. So you can never be too safe. First responders say the best way to stay safe is to stay home. Gotti.
Yeah, reading the small print there. Ryan Chandler, thank you so much. And Bill Cairns and the NBC News Weather Unit have been timing out when this storm revs up and how serious the impacts could be for travel and for power. Hey there, Bill.
Gotti, what a next 3 days this is going to be, tracking just this massive winter storm affecting so many people in the country. Roughly about half of the people in this country are going to experience the storm. And then on top of that, we have another huge chunk of the country experiencing this record-breaking cold, and especially these wind chills. So let's break it all down timing-wise first. Blue shows you the snow, the pink shows you the freezing rain. So this is during this time tomorrow. We'll be already talking about it breaking out in Oklahoma. And then as we go through Saturday, we all track this mess through the south. southeast. It's kind of in two waves. We got the first wave, and then there's a second wave, and you notice that some areas are going to get hit by both, with snow and with ice. Then as we go through Saturday into Sunday, we take all of this mess to the east. Ohio Valley is getting a lot of snow now. We're getting a lot of snow in New England. Mid-Atlantic, it's snow over to sleet and freezing rain. And for that reason, that's why we have so many watches and warnings out there. 171, yeah, that's roughly a little over half of the population of our country right now. The areas in blue, this is the most freezing rain. This is where it shows you where power outages are possible. Ice accumulations for above a quarter inch, some areas above a half an inch, and also in eastern North Carolina, all the way back here towards the mountains in Charlotte, Charlottesville, southwards, upstate of South Carolina, northern Georgia. These are all areas that are going to deal with significant ice problems and the possibility of extensive tree damage and power outages that could last days. The snow forecast, a little more clear cut. Areas that stay all snow, you're lucky. You don't have to deal with all the ice. You're going to have to shovel out, and a lot of it, but at least in a day or two after that, you can get out and have power in your house. This band of heavy snow goes from New England all the way back into areas of Kansas. So snowfall amounts, we're getting close enough now. Oklahoma City, you have a chance of a foot of snow. Kansas City and St. Louis, we've increased your totals. Now at least a half a foot. Chicago, enough to plow. Lexington, Louisville, all the way through Cincinnati, significant snow. Indianapolis included in that too. And then we got areas here from Pittsburgh to D.C., Syracuse, New York. Everyone has a chance for at least a half a foot. Some areas will be 12 to 18 inches. I'm sure we'll get at least one mountainous area that could get up to about 2 feet. So as far as the cold goes, this would be a huge story all by itself if it wasn't even for this incredible storm. About 165 million people are included in this. And look at these wind chills tomorrow. -57 is the forecast low wind chill in International Falls. Minneapolis, -42. -32 in Chicago, and they already canceled school. They don't want kids out in that walking to school. And then it's going to stay very cold even after the storm. These are the highs, Gotti. I mean, how are we going to recover from this ice storm in areas like Memphis when the high temperatures are only going to get into the low 20s until the middle of next week?
I can't even get past the -50, even with wind chill. That's wild. Bill Cairns, thanks so much. And despite calls for calm in Minneapolis, tensions, they continue to escalate there. Tonight, a local school district is speaking out after they say ICE detained 4 of its students. One of them was just 5 years old. It's this little boy right here. These pictures have been seen far and wide. They show a federal agent holding on to a preschooler. His name is Liam Ramos in his backpack. And tonight, a school official who was on the scene when it happened says ICE used that boy to try to lure family members out of their home.
Mom was there. She saw out the window and Dad was yelling, "Please do not open the door. Don't open the door," because of the other picture that I'm sure you've seen where there's a little boy knocking at the door with an ICE agent looming over him.
Are you accusing ICE of using children as bait?
Yes, I mean it's very clear from the pictures, from the videos, from firsthand accounts. I was there. This is what happened.
Now, DHS also took his dad into custody tonight. Lawyers for the family say they are both now in Texas. Now, this comes as Vice President J.D. Vance took a trip to Minneapolis earlier to try to cool down the temperature, asking people in local law enforcement to cooperate with federal immigration officials.
I do not want so many ICE officers in Minneapolis right now. I mean, good Lord, it's really, really freaking cold outside. But they're here not even to enforce immigration laws, but to protect the people from the rioters. That's an absurd state of affairs, and we wouldn't need it if we had a little bit more cooperation from the Minneapolis Police Department.
Meanwhile, we're still seeing more clashes between law enforcement and protesters, and DHS is keeping their promise of going after them. Today, federal agents and the FBI arrested 3 protesters in connection with that demonstration that interrupted a Sunday church service. And NBC's Maggie Vespa is in Minneapolis for us tonight. Maggie, what's the latest on the 5-year-old that was detained by ICE?
Yeah, the latest, Gotti, is that officials say he's in a detention center in Texas with his father, who the superintendent of that school district that this little boy goes to, a little suburban school district here, said that they were detained together in their driveway. She really slammed DHS and ICE officers over this. It was striking to see from a public school district saying that the child was used as bait, with an officer bringing the child back up to the house, the house's front door to knock and try to get other adults out. So the school district just blasting officers in general. They say for detaining 4 children, but in particular this 5-year-old is, just the profile of the story is just really taken off across the country. DHS, for its part, acknowledging that this child is in a detention center with his father, but clarifying from their perspective the backstory and really coming out with a lot of detail on this in the last few hours, saying that the officers were not targeting the child, that they were targeting his father, who's in the country illegally from from Ecuador, and that they alleged that the father ran away, in their words, abandoning his child, and that officers tried to get the mother, they say, in the house to take custody of the child. They say she refused, at which point they say the father said, send him with me, let him come with me. Gotti, but regardless, this is just kind of hitting on such a raw nerve for people here in Minneapolis. They see this, they feel like it epitomizes the brutal tactics and the dehumanization that they feel like they're seeing from these ICE officers. Of course, it's just hitting a raw nerve, I should say, across the country. And then you see DHS really coming out swinging with this strong statement saying the backstory's been misrepresented, basically saying this is lacking context and the ICE officers did nothing wrong. It's just a key example of how these stories, people can look at the exact same story, have 2 completely different takes, and the divide, it feels like, Gotti, just continues to grow with, in this case, this little boy caught in the middle.
Yeah, and on the podium, I mean, we saw the vice president trying to calm things down there. He made some remarks about this, about the kid freezing outside. You're saying that the mother was inside the home where the boy was standing in front of. What did the vice president say, and what is that? How does that mesh with what we know?
Well, the vice president started out saying, listen, I have a 5-year-old. I have a 5-year-old son. This story hit me really hard, too, when I saw it. And then he said, but then, in his words, when you dig deeper, and he said he learned the backstory that obviously he believes DHS's account, that the officers tried to get the mother to take the child, that it wouldn't, they say, that she wouldn't, and that the father ran. And he basically said, what were the officers supposed to do? Leave this kid outside with no mom to take him and the father taking off? So that was his take on it, really defending the ICE officers. But kind of speaking to how this, like I said, epitomizes frustrations here on the ground, I then pressed the vice president about what we're hearing from everyday people here in Minneapolis. We had a back and forth. Here's the bulk of our exchange. What do you say to people here in Minnesota who say it's the overwhelming presence of ICE officers and federal officers and their tactics that are making them feel less safe?
Well, one thing I would say is, first of all, we saw in 2025 the biggest one-year drop in murders in the history of the United States of America.
Are you saying that they're not perceiving it correctly?
If you understand this in context, this is the inevitable consequence of a state and local government that have decided that they're not going to cooperate with immigration enforcement at all. In fact, they're going to aggressively not cooperate.
Now, after those comments were made, Gotti, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, who, by the way, pointed out that he was not invited to meet with the vice president, despite the fact that Vice President Vance said he was meeting with community members. The mayor held a press conference late today saying that he basically blasting the vice president for putting any blame on the shoulders of local politicians, saying we are dealing with what feels like an invasion in our city. And he made a comment that we have more than 3,000 officers on the ground without, in his words, a clear plan. So really both sides just going back and forth at each other and hitting on stories like the story of that 5-year-old in the process to try to make their points, Scotty.
Maggie Vespa, thank you so much. And turning now to Washington, where the president is arriving home after that whirlwind trip to Switzerland. And after weeks and weeks of threatening to seize Greenland, even by force if necessary, tonight Trump says he and the Secretary General of NATO have formed the framework of a deal about the country's future. Here's how he described it.
We're getting everything we wanted, total security, total access to everything, have as many bases, have all the equipment that we want.
So what are we talking about, an acquisition of Greenland? Are you going to pay for it? I mean,
we're talking about it. It's really being negotiated now, the details of it, but essentially it's total access.
Now let's get out to NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber, who is in a very frosty Greenland tonight. Ellison, good to see you. What more do we know about the latest framework here?
Hey, Gotti, so in terms of public details, really not a lot other than that posting from Trump on Truth Social where he said he and the Secretary General of NATO had reached the framework of a future deal related to Greenland and the Arctic region. But let me take you through some reporting from our colleagues at the White House and the Pentagon. A congressional official and two former U.S. officials telling NBC's Catherine Doyle and Courtney Kube that President Trump went to Davos looking to negotiate a deal that would give the United States more control over security of Greenland as well as the broader Arctic region. The president reportedly dispatched senior U.S. officials to Davos ahead of time to try and lay the groundwork for some sort of agreement. And according to two former U.S. officials, Trump has mentioned possibly adding U.S. troops and more military bases in Greenland, particularly with respect to supporting that Golden Dome missile defense system. But NBC News is being told at this point that negotiations on a deal are preliminary, and it is not clear if the president will secure a final agreement or what that would entail. In terms of officials here in Greenland and also Denmark, they don't seem to know a lot of details at all. In fact, earlier today, we heard from the Prime Minister of Greenland in a press conference where he doubled down on making clear that they have no desire to be part of the United States. They say sovereignty, that is a red line for them. They're not going to negotiate on that. But listen to some of what he had to say, and then we can talk after.
I don't know what's concrete in that deal either. But I know that we have now a high-level working group working on a solution for both parties. We have said from the beginning in Greenland, we have some red lines. We cannot cross the red lines. We have to respect our territorial integrity.
So here's the thing when it comes to this idea of Arctic security, right? Greenland and Denmark, they say we have always been on board with that. We have treaties with the United States going back decades that allow that, right? At the height of concerns in the Cold War with the Soviet Union, there were 17 named U.S. bases in Greenland. Now there is only one. So they say when we're talking about military bases, if they're wanting to expand in that way, what Greenland has said, as well as Denmark, is that they are open to that. They have always been open to that. What they weren't open to was this idea of Greenland possibly becoming part of the United States. But they're waiting for more information on exactly what this sort of framework of an agreement is. And the people in Greenland, they're waiting on that information as well. Yeah. The thing that we heard from Denmark's prime minister in a statement just 24 hours ago was she said, look, we have always been open to negotiating on anything politically, including security. What we're not willing to negotiate on is sovereignty and our territory. Gotti.
Ellison, we hear so often that, Greenland's population is very, very small, 56, 57,000. And the video that we were showing a little bit earlier, there's a lot of people out in the, I guess it's not street, it's like snow-covered roads there. But just the people that you've been meeting with, these ideas of, maybe they're going to be paid a certain amount of money, or maybe they would get U.S. citizenship, or all of those things that are swirling around in the unknowns for them. How does this sit with them?
I mean, they're just not interested in it, and they really never have been. If you look at public polling from early last year, 85% of Greenlanders, when they were asked if they wanted to leave the Kingdom of Denmark and become part of the United States, they said no. When you talk to people here, they will say, we have a really good deal and relationships, essentially, with Denmark, and part of that is because of the Self-Government Act of 2009, which really set Greenland up to be a largely autonomous territory. Greenland officials, they control everything domestically, from health care to education to infrastructure, all the things that would happen inside of this country. They mostly have a say and control. What Denmark takes care of is foreign affairs, defense, and monetary policy. But they are also, based on that 2009 agreement, considered equal partners. And a really key caveat that they have, that as far as I'm aware, was never offered or proposed by President Trump in his insistence on wanting Greenland to become part of the United States, is that Greenlanders can have a referendum on full independence at any time if they want. And Denmark has said they will honor that. But let me let you listen to some of the conversations we've had with Greenlanders so far today as it relates to this possible agreement between Trump and NATO's Secretary General. Take a listen.
Do you think the Danish government and the Greenlandic government are doing enough to protect the people here?
They do the best they can do. But as I said a moment ago, he changes his mind as we change our socks.
There's nothing about Greenland without the Greenlanders. It is our country. You would say the same thing about the U.S., of course. Nothing about U.S. without the U.S. people. It would be the same.
People we've spoken to here, they're glad that the idea of some sort of military action in Greenland, that seems to have been taken off the table by President Trump, and also that maybe he has moved away from insisting on Greenland become part of the United States. But they're confused that it was ever a topic of discussion in the first place. They're not sure if they can trust him now because they say they feel like he has flip-flopped, and they have a lot of animosity towards this insistence on making them Americans when they say it's something that the vast majority of Greenlanders are very much against. But moving forward, they're really looking to see what the details are in terms of this framework of agreement. And there's a lot of uncertainty here and still a lot of hurt, honestly, and pain, because they feel like they've been betrayed by someone they considered in the United States to be a really close ally that they've had a relationship with that dates back, I mean, to World War II. And they've really worked closely with them in conflicts, post 9/11, all of that. So there's a lot of tension still here, Gotti.
Yeah, a cold reality check from the ground there in Greenland. Ellison, did that guy say he changes his mind as often as we change our socks? It was hard to hear, but he's talking about how he sees President Trump?
Yeah, he said that when it comes... Yeah, he was talking about President Trump, and when I was asking, what do you think of this agreement? How do you feel about it? He was like, I don't really know what to think. I feel like he changes his mind as often as we change our socks, and that is something that we have heard from a lot of Greenlanders, said in different ways, but that was his analogy.
A new expression, I guess, here in the United States now. NBC's Ellison Barber, thank you so much. And today, on the international stage, President Trump officially launched something he is calling the Board of Peace. But exactly what is the Board of Peace and who is going to be a part of it? Well, NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Peter Alexander explains.
Good evening to you. President Trump announcing another dramatic move, what critics say disrupts the existing world order, formalizing his so-called Board of Peace, a new international organization that some fear could try to rival the United Nations. The president today there on stage here in Switzerland, Davos specifically, side by side with some of those countries that have signed on to this effort. The president saying that at least 50 invitations have been sent out. At least 20 countries have agreed to participate. Some of those included have authoritarian leaders. Talk about the countries involved here. Belarus, Turkey, Hungary, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia. Among those invited, Russia's President Vladimir Putin, though the Kremlin says he is still deciding whether to accept the offer. And among those who have said no, declining it, some of America's biggest allies, like France and the United Kingdom, citing concerns that this new Board of Peace could, in effect, undermine the United Nations. Think about it right now. With this new deal, the president has said that he will be its chairman. He gets to pick his successor, and he's the only one with veto power. Compare that to the United Nations Security Council, where all of its members, France, the UK, China, and Russia, all have a veto. And one notable point here is the president has again demonstrated how single-handedly he's really driven the agenda at an international event like we saw take place with the World Economic Forum here in Switzerland. Look at this image side by side. First, you can see that emblem of the United Nations where you see all of the continents of the world. And then there, looking like it's dripping in gold, the new logo for this new Board of Peace where the United States is front and center, President Trump's new effort to remake the world. Back to you.
Interesting. Peter Alexander, thank you so much. And as President Trump tries to get allies to join that Board of Peace, the war between Israel and Gaza, it still seems far from over. Israeli fire and Israeli tanks shelling continue to undermine that 3-month ceasefire, with the Gaza Health Ministry saying at least 11 people were killed yesterday alone. So where does the Board of Peace play into that fragile ceasefire and the rebuilding of Gaza? NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley has more, and a warning. This report includes images of dead children.
Amidst the diplomatic drama, Davos, President Trump's peace plan for the Gaza Strip still held center stage.
We're committed to ensuring Gaza is demilitarized, properly governed, and beautifully rebuilt.
Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law and one of the negotiators of the Gaza ceasefire, unveiled grand plans for the Strip.
We think this could be done in 2-3 years. We've already started removing the rubble and doing some of the demolition. And then New Gaza. It could be a hope, it could be a destination.
But the old Gaza continues to suffer. 3 months into the ceasefire, each side regularly accuses the other of violations. And Israel continues to launch airstrikes against what it says are Hamas targets. The health ministry in Gaza, which is run by Hamas, says at least 477 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli attacks in Gaza since the ceasefire began. 11 more were killed yesterday, including 2 children and 3 journalists. In response to the journalists' deaths, the Israeli military said in a statement that it struck several suspects who operated a drone affiliated with Hamas. Ghassan el-Tanani's brother was among yesterday's dead. I want to understand where this so-called World Peace Council in Gaza is, he asked about the ceasefire plan. Where is it? We've been looking for it and we can't find it, he said. Many here doubt whether a new diplomatic initiative will succeed where so many others have failed. I'm one of the 95% of us who are not convinced, says Ghassan Hudeh. Peace conference and whatnot, in the end, it's Israeli control. After 2 years of war, most Palestinians now live in precarious, partially destroyed buildings, or sprawling tent cities exposed to winter downpours. The United Nations says 40% of Gaza's population lives in flood-prone areas. Sama al-Barej is one of them. Her tent flooded overnight. People woke up as the water was pulling us away, she said. It took the belongings and blankets, and the girls' belongings. It took everything and left nothing. And the cold has taken lives. 3-month-old Shaza al-Bujarad died during the night. The latest of 9 Gazan health officials say have been killed by the cold so far this winter. She lives in a house, and you know how houses are. Even if it's a house, it's enclosed with plastic sheeting and has no heat, said her uncle. There's no place for a person to keep warm. And Gadi, there could be some relief coming out of those Davos meetings for the people of the Gaza Strip. We've heard from President Trump and from the Israelis and from the new leader of that technocratic committee that President Trump has charged with administrating Gaza that the Rafah border crossing between the Gaza Strip and Egypt will be open next week to two-way traffic. Ever since that ceasefire agreement back in October, the Israelis had only opened it for outgoing traffic for those Palestinians who wanted to leave the Gaza Strip. Now, it could be made available for much-needed food aid in Gaza. Gadi?
Yeah, we'll see if that aid starts flowing. Matt Bradley, incredible report there. Thank you so much. And we're following some breaking news right now. The U.S. and China seem to have signed off on a deal that hands control of TikTok's U.S. operations to American investors. Now, a White House official confirmed that deal to NBC News late tonight, just before a key deadline. Now let's go to NBC. Savannah Sellers, who has been following all the twists and turns and evolution on this deal. Savannah, what is your read on this deal? And do we have a clear picture on who all these investors are?
Yeah, Gadi, I know. Can you believe this? This might actually be the end of the saga after literally years of covering this, of this drama, of this back and forth. Yes, we have an idea on the investors, but I actually think maybe even more importantly, we have an idea of the leadership of this company, both of the board as well as a newly named CEO. That was the first act of the board, they said today. And I do believe that that is what was going on all day today at TikTok, was getting a lot of this in order. One of the things also that's very notable is that there's even a whole new website. The new name of this company is TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC. They've got a whole new website where they're outlining what they say are their security measures, how your data will be protected with this new company. But here's what's really interesting. The board, it's made up of, there are 7 board members. Most of them are they were existing investors, actually, so not really new here. When TikTok was owned by that company, ByteDance, a lot of them are taking over as these major stakeholders in this new joint venture in the new TikTok US. I'm talking the likes of Susquehanna, Silver Lake, MGX, some of these large investment firms that have essentially just upped their stake and now become these managing partners. And of course, the big one here is Oracle. Notably, I am not seeing Larry Ellison, for example, on the board. However, an executive vice president in the office of the chief executive officer at Oracle is on this board. And then also, Gotti, the new CEO. So Shou Chu, who had been their CEO, been the CEO through all these bumps. Users of TikTok may remember him and actually know what he looks like, because he actually was the one who did a whole announcement video thanking President Trump when they were actually able to keep TikTok, when they brought TikTok back after it had went offline. He made himself known. Actually, you made a video of himself and put his face out there. He is now on the board. We now have Adam Presser as Chief Executive Officer of this new joint venture. He was an existing executive at TikTok, Gotti.
And Savannah, like, does this solve any of the national security concerns that, again, we started hearing about years and years and years ago?
Gotti, it's such a good question. They say yes. I think it certainly remains to be seen. And I'll tell you what they're saying, which is notable in that it's not really different than what they had been saying they were doing for all these years while there were still these national security concerns, which is they have Oracle managing the data here. So Oracle is, of course, this huge cloud company, a ton of capability when it comes to what would need to be done here. The question, though, is what does this data mean? How is it actually walled off? That's something that did actually already happen with something that you probably know about, Gotti, called Project Texas. They said they essentially brought all the American users' data here on U.S. soil. Oracle still going to manage that data, and they say that that will ensure its security. I do think, though, Gotti, something of note here, ByteDance, that parent company that caused all of the concern when it came to national security, they actually get to keep a small piece of TikTok. Back in December, they announced it would be 19.9%. That's just right under the legal threshold of 20%. So do I think, for example, like China hawks on the hill may still have an issue here? Potentially, yes, but they're saying data will be safe.
Yeah, Savannah, it's so meta that we've got these live streams going. We're live streaming on YouTube, on TikTok, and we're talking about TikTok on TikTok. It's a weird time. Always appreciate you, Savannah.
You're
Sellers.
ahead of the curve, Gotti, and you're the anchor of this show with your cool stream. You're the best, Gotti. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And if you're wondering what we're talking about, yes, you can also watch kind of a behind the scenes on YouTube, on TikTok of Stay Tuned, and we'll be able to chat with you on that stream. Savannah Sellers, we'll see you soon. Thank you. And don't go anywhere. Up next, the legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is not letting up. Why he's now urging a judge to toss out Lively's lawsuit. Plus, there's this deadly landslide that hit a campsite in New Zealand where the search for survivors continues late tonight. Yo, shout out, chat. What'd you guys think? You guys were on TV and YouTube and all the other places, and Amazon and Roku and Samsung and like all the million places that we stream. But only two places for now have the ability to chat, and that's TikTok and YouTube. So what up? Max Columbus, what would you recommend to somebody who's trying to become a journalist? Be curious. Anybody is a journalist these days. You just got to be curious, and you got to critically think, and you got to constantly remind yourself that there are multiple sides to every story. Never use TikTok? Read. Oh, yeah, because you're on YouTube. Let's see. We got 1 minute? 1 minute. Big Mike says we got 1 minute. All right. Tina, do you remember how it went from Twitter when he bought it? Oh, aliens? Pluto? No aliens today. What a big show. You're the actor? No, we're not acting here. This is real news. How do we stop all this? I don't know. Let's see. Been to Michigan? No, but yes, I've been to Michigan before, but I was just in Minnesota. It is very, very cold out there. All right, so 30 seconds. If you guys are new to the stream, I'm going to go stand over there where Big Mike is standing. I'm going to do this next segment, and then on the next commercial break, we'll be able to talk more. So here we go. Ready? What's our time? 10. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Yikes.
7, 5, 4, 3,
Hey, welcome back. Here are some of the other headlines we are watching tonight. Deadly landslides out in New Zealand have left at least 2 people dead, even more missing. Rescue crews are still searching for survivors after one of those landslides wiped out a campground. Now, experts say heavy rains triggered those conditions, and they have caused widespread damage. And several people have been hurt after this commuter train crashed into a construction crane out in Spain. And this train accident is actually the 4th one since Sunday there. That was when a train derailed and killed at least 43 people. The police in London say Barron Trump contacted them after he got a call from a woman getting, quote, beaten up last year. Now, this was all released in these court transcripts during the suspect's appearance in court, as they are facing several charges, including assault and rape. That suspect is denying those allegations, and the White House has declined to comment. And in California, health officials in Napa County have confirmed a case of the measles from an unvaccinated kid who got sick after visiting South Carolina. This is the first measles case in the county since 2012. And the dynamic duo behind heated rivalry are going to the Olympics. And no, it's not to play hockey. Hudson Williams and Connor Story have been selected as official torchbearers, and they're going to be participating in the Olympic torch relay from Rome to Milan. Meanwhile, lawyers for actors Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were back in court today for all the real-life drama that went down while they were filming the Hollywood drama. And that was called It Ends With Us. But spoiler alert, it obviously does not end with them. Right now, this case is still ongoing. The legal questions are mounting. The tea features some of Lively's famous friends, and as you've probably seen, it is boiling right now. Keep in mind, there has been a bunch of different stuff to follow. We've got different lawsuits, counter lawsuits stemming from this one movie. But the one we are talking about today is Lively's lawsuit against Baldoni, alleging both sexual harassment and engaging in a smear campaign to damage her reputation. Today, Baldoni, who denies all the allegations, is asking a judge to dismiss her lawsuit entirely, saying all this is about nothing more than trivial and petty grievances. Let's go to NBC News legal analyst Misty Maris, who's been following all this so closely. So, Misty, on what grounds is Baldoni and his team asking for this case to be dismissed, and what's the likelihood that that's actually going to happen?
So, Gotti, this is a really critical procedural point in any civil case. And what he's asking for is for what's called summary judgment. And essentially the standard is that after all the deposition testimony has been taken and all the documents and evidence have been exchanged, there still isn't enough to satisfy the elements of the legal claims that are raised by Blake Lively. As far as the likelihood on these particular claims, sexual harassment and retaliation, very, very unlikely that Justin Baldoni's ask to the court to throw this out will be successful. I think we're going to see this case in a trial.
And as for all this celebrity gossip that is just on all the headlines when you check out at the grocery store, I mean, one of them is this letter to Ben Affleck. There's her corresponding with her friend Taylor Swift. Do any of them actually move like the legal needle here? Because obviously people are very interested in everything that was being said. But what does it do in terms of establishing anything legally?
Yeah, Gotti, as you said it is hot tea, but here's how it applies to the legal case. So Justin Baldoni's defense is that Blake Lively actually fabricated allegations of sexual harassment with the intention of taking over the movie. So how do these messages play into that? Well, he says Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and of course, Taylor Swift. Blake Lively's asking them to endorse her script. And this is a power play using her high-profile Hollywood friends to really push this so that she has control. On the flip side, there's other messages between Blake Lively and Jenny Slate, who is an actress on It Ends With Us, where she complains about the environment on the set. Jenny Slate also mirroring some of what Blake Lively raised. So these text messages are going to be used both by Blake Lively and Baldoni in the defense. So they're really going to fit into this legal case.
Misty Maris, thank you so much. And coming up, former special counsel Jack Smith with some strong words today on Capitol Hill, standing by his decision to prosecute Trump. The latest just ahead, so stay tuned. Looks like TikTok went down. What happened? Hi, guys. Hey, what's up, Lise? Did you see TikTok? TikTok went down for some reason. Stream ended. I wonder if it had to do with one of those pieces. Interesting. Yeah, maybe. I was thinking the same thing. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, the whole drama is a script. I think it's like beyond what you can even think of for a script. It's pretty wild. None of us try to make Gotti laugh on TV. Tina, I've been seeing your comments, and you have been trying to make me laugh, and you've gotten close a couple of times, but news face. Let's see. NBC News have a building in Tampa Bay, Florida. I think we do. I think we have a local affiliate. I don't think it's an owned and operated station, but I think we do definitely have some coverage there. We have coverage everywhere.
2 minutes.
We got our girl.
Our girl is in the control room here is our resident Florida girl.
Did you guys hear that?
And she says there is an affiliate there. Yes,
There
in
is
Tampa.
an affiliate in Tampa Bay. Shout out Tampa Bay. Yeah, TikTok went down. That's a bummer. I don't know what happened. Maybe everybody's jumping on YouTube. So it looks like YouTube's moderation policies are pretty solid. I don't know what the deal is on TikTok, but if you guys are ever watching on TikTok, now you know. You can watch on YouTube. Hey, what's up, Las Cruces? Ooh, Cruces? Check Slack. Okay, will do. Hi, Las Cruces. I miss you and your green chili and your red chili and all the hatch.
1 minute.
1 minute. We got 1 minute. So what else do you guys want to talk about in 50 seconds? You've never had green chili, Lisa? You're missing out on life.
Wait, it's like chili, like a normal, like a. Are you talking about like something you put on
TikTok
top of
for
something?
age restriction because they think I'm under 18. Interesting. I'm older than 18. Can't they see the like gray hair? That's pretty wild. 30 seconds. Yeah, Lise, I'm gonna get you some green chili. In fact, wait, maybe our homie Noodly Blessed can hook you up with some of that Hatch. Hatch green chili is the best. But you gotta be careful because they say it's Hatch, sometimes it's not Hatch. There's no way that little valley can produce as much Hatch chili as there is on planet Earth right now. So TikTok streamed down. Yeah, Tina, I don't know what happened. They think I'm not 18. Go green or red if it's carne adobada. And it was a fireworks show on Capitol Hill today when former special counsel Jack Smith faced off with Republicans defiantly. NBC News chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles has that story.
Please rise and raise your right hand.
Tonight, former special counsel Jack Smith defending his investigation into President Donald Trump.
I stand by my decisions as special counsel, including the decision to bring charges against President Trump.
Smith, a career prosecutor, has been a target of Republicans since his 2 indictments of Trump, one for the mishandling of classified documents and the other for interfering with the results of the 2020 election, fell apart before Trump's second term.
And it was always about politics. And to get President Trump, they were willing to do just about anything.
In a tense hearing, Republicans accused Smith of spying on members of Congress by unlawfully seeking their phone records.
Did you inform the judge? Or did you hold that back?
My office didn't spy on anyone.
In the room, police officers on duty during January 6th, one tangling with a Trump-supporting protester. President Trump was watching the hearing and accused Smith of being, quote, deranged, adding he hopes his Attorney General Pam Bondi is, quote, looking at what he's done.
Do you agree with that, and was that's appropriate? That's up to the Justice Department, but I have complete confidence in this Justice Department.
A threat Smith is taking seriously.
Do you believe that President Trump's Department of Justice will find some way to indict you?
I believe that they will do everything in their power to do that because they've been ordered to by the president.
But he never wavered.
Our investigation developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump engaged in criminal activity.
It's not clear what, if any, charges the Department of Justice might bring against Jack Smith, but his appearance here today made it clear he's not afraid of any potential prosecution.
Ryan Nobles reporting from the Capitol. Ryan, thank you. Still to come, Preparing for liftoff. Best assignment of the month, Al Roker taking us to the Kennedy Space Center with a look at how the Artemis crew is getting ready to orbit the moon. But first, you gotta see this. Suffolk County, New York. Police officers responding to a break-in at a bank on Sunday, but the perp got away on hoof, because that's the perp right there. Video released by the department shows an officer had to climb in through broken window in pursuit of that culprit, and that robber was a deer. Its problem, once inside, that poor little guy could not figure out how to make its way to any sort of getaway car. So officers, they were able to guide that big fella out back the way he came in, through a window. He did not make a clean getaway, though, as you can see. The buck ran off into the woods unharmed. Unfortunately, we can't say the same for that bank. They've got some cleaning to do. We'll be right back. Grand Theft Auto type crime. Yeah, a deer. Dude, that's got to be in the next Grand Theft Auto. Oh, poor thing. I know. Is get experience while you can. Yes, that's very good advice, Lisa. Wrote for radio, local papers, took any shifts. Yep. And I started down in Las Cruces and then worked as an assignment editor in El Paso, and then just interned as much as I could in Albuquerque. And then anytime they needed help, I would just do anything. Coffee runs, whatever it was. Let's see. But Lisa. ID. Mm-hmm. Yep. And we're always stressed. Yep. Yep. And also, Lisa, how do you not know green chili? That's like, how are we even friends? It's not like chili. No, it's not like no, it's smothered. You take pepper, chili pepper, and then you like mash it up into this just like almost like a soup thing. And if it's red, you can put it. I like to put red on meat. If it's green, I like to put that on chicken. But sometimes people switch it up, pork and red. Oh, so good. 30. And then in New Mexico, every restaurant that you go to, they'll be like, you'll be like, I'll have a burrito, and they're like, red or green. And if you're a real one, you'll be like, Christmas. And then they put the red and the green on it.
15, starting about here.
It's in the same family. But yeah, I got to take you to New Mexico. All right, starting back there. Here we go. Ready?
Sound. 3, up and in.
Landing legs deployed.
And she's back.
Clean. Look at that. Takeoff and touchdown in the West Texas desert. Blue Origin marking its first New Shepard launch of the year, sending 5 paying customers to the edge of space. Today marks the company's 38th mission. Meanwhile, 3 Americans and 1 Canadian astronaut could, as soon as February 6th, launch as part of the historic mission to orbit the moon, further than humans have ever gone before. Today's show co-anchor Al Roker traveled to the Kennedy Space Center to watch the rollout of that massive rocket.
Perched upon the historic launch pad 39B, the Artemis II rocket, the 322-foot tall, 11 million-pound spacecraft, here after a nearly 12-hour, 4-mile slow roll from the vehicle assembly building.
So what do you think? Surreal, calm, serenity.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
This crew on the cusp of a new era in space exploration.
I'm NASA astronaut Reed Wiseman.
I'm NASA astronaut Victor Glover.
I'm NASA astronaut Christina Cook.
I'm Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen.
We met the Artemis II crew in the suit-up room, the same space where Apollo-era astronauts like Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins donned their spacesuits.
The things that inspired me happened right here in this room, and I think it's really special that we're going back to the moon from this same spot.
The 4 about to embark on a 10-day mission, breaking the bonds of gravity to be the first to get a close-up view of the lunar landscape in in more than 50 years. What defines success for this mission?
Success is boots on the moon in Artemis 3. Success is Artemis 100, whenever that is.
The most powerful rocket ever
Artemis
built
100.
will lift off
We're
with
gonna
about
be on that.
8.8 million pounds of thrust. The ride to Earth's orbit, just 9 millions. Then, after about a day of testing, the space explorers will begin a 4-day journey to the moon, completing a figure 8 around more than 200,000 miles from home. What do you hope to learn as part of this mission?
This is a relay race. What we're really trying to learn is this spacecraft to get it ready to put boots on the moon on Artemis 3. The geologists have been working with us and training us, and there's things that they're interested in, and they want to see what our human eyes pick up.
The flyby, taking the space explorers further than any human has gone before, where they'll set their sights on the dark side of the moon.
We look up at the moon and we see that same side of the moon all the time with different lighting on it. So there is a possibility that we will see features in sunlight that have never been seen by human eyes.
NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman believes the mission is the first step to a moon outpost, which will someday propel Americans to Mars.
From the beginning of humankind, that people have looked up at the night sky and seen the stars and wonder what's out there. So I do think this is the greatest adventure in human history.
The journey to the moon will be in a capsule about the size of a minivan. You guys are going to be in tight quarters for 10 days. How do you prepare for that?
We put a lot of emphasis on communication and being really open and honest with each other. We have a common assumption of good intent, and then we have an expectation that we'll just talk about it and bring it up and then get that kind of water under the bridge and move forward.
The crew won't be alone on this journey, acknowledging the hundreds of thousands worldwide whose fingerprints are on this rocket.
When we launch, it won't just be the 4 of us on the vehicle. Those handprints, human hands built that, and the mobile launcher.
And they'll have their families behind them.
For me, the family support is just overwhelming. Every day when my husband steps up and shows me that this is our mission, that it's his mission too.
Never any complaints about it, just like do what you need to do, come home to us.
Taking items to space that have meaning and memories.
I have a Bible, my wedding rings, and then a small heirloom for my daughter.
I asked for handwritten notes from my nieces and nephews and loved ones.
I'm taking a blank piece of paper, letters from home, little pieces of jewelry for the family.
I gifted my wife and 3 kids a little moon pendant. It's got our family birthstones in it, and it says moon and back.
Their hope, this mission will bring the nation and the world together.
Hopefully this mission and all of the people involved will be an opportunity for us to all just latch on and cheer and support something. I think humanity deserves it. We deserve a win.
To the moon and back. How about that, Al Roker? Thank you so very much. And coming up, the Oscar nominations are out, so let the, betting begin. How betting markets are playing a bigger and bigger role during award season. That's next. All right. Where were we? Lisa. You guys are talking about chili or pizza? Pizza in New York? That sounds delicious. Did I see Max?
Blues. It wasn't forced on us like that.
Yeah.
Religion.
Max Columbus, did you see this? I do a lot for my high school news show, Laker Update. I'm going to STN Student Television Network Convention. Yo, Max, that's amazing. I want to know what you think about the way the news is done, because ideally, we're gonna be evolving the news, and it's just a very interesting time to be in this industry. But dude, Max, if you guys have a news class or something like that, hit me up on, I don't know, send me a DM on Instagram or on X or something like that, and I'd be happy to do a Zoom with your class or whatever, and we can chat about how you guys see the future of news. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah, that's what we try to do, and that's hopefully, Max, that's what the future of journalism looks like. Good news and bad news. Very, very hard, but we'll see. So guess what? The last segment, yeah, it's in the knock. For those of you that watch, that's a piece of tech that we haven't figured out yet. So it was pre-shot, so the show is basically over at this point, even though if you're watching on streaming on Roku, Samsung, Peacock, anywhere, the website, whatever you stream on, you can watch the show. You just can't watch with the comment section. But yeah, let's hang out tomorrow. Same time, same place, right here, Universal Studios. Lisa's out there in New York. This is what it looks like afterwards. Yikes. Well, we'll see you, Sean. You can cut my mic off now. Hasta, everybody. Thanks for watching.